glance at your phone. Zilch. You set it aside, dive back into work, or grab a book, anything to distract yourself, but bam! 5 minutes later, you're peeking again. Still nothing. Excuses start bubbling up. They're swamped at work. Phone's dead. They're just not a texter. But that gnawing feeling in your gut whispers the truth. Because 3 days ago, they were blowing up your phone until 2 a.m., sharing playlists, digging into your childhood stories, making you feel like the center of the universe. Now, radio silence. You're this close to erasing their number and reclaiming your sanity when ding, the screen glows. One measly notification, a half-hearted meme, a lazy story reaction, or a bland, "Hey, thinking of you." Poof, your anxiety evaporates. Relief surges through you like a lifeline. You feel seen, chosen. You fire back immediately. And then, the vanishing act resumes. If this is your daily grind, you're not losing your mind, and you're definitely not flying solo. But let's call it what it is: manipulation. This tactic has a name: breadcrumbing. It's when someone doles out tiny scraps of attention to string you along, just enough to keep you hooked, but never sufficient for real commitment. They scatter these breadcrumbs, leading you down a path that dead ends into thin air. Most folks shrug it off as just how dating works these days. Maybe they're playing coy or dodging commitment. But the reality? It's way more sinister. Psychology reveals that breadcrumbing isn't about romance or bad timing, it's about wielding power and control. What you're enduring isn't mere annoyance, it's a full-blown biological addiction. Your brain processes these erratic signals like a gambler glued to a slot machine. It's a devious psychological tool called intermittent reinforcement, the ultimate hook for the human psyche. In this video, we're ripping apart the harsh truth of why you're obsessed with someone who sees you as a backup plan. We'll dive into the neuroscience explaining why you cling on despite the pain. We'll unmask the 3 breeds of breadcrumbers, from the well-meaning fumbler to the cold-hearted narcissist. And crucially, I'll arm you with strategies to quit scavenging for scraps and stride away from that empty table. Because here's the real issue. You're not unlovable. You're just hunting for sustenance in a junkyard. Let's dive in. To grasp why blocking them feels impossible, rewind to the 1950s. Psychologist B.F. Skinner stuck rats in a box with a lever. Group 1. Press the lever, get food every time. Rats hid it when hungry, ignored it when full, straightforward stuff. Group 2. Lever did nothing, no food ever. Rats caught on fast and bailed. But Group 3? That's where it got wild. The lever paid out randomly, maybe on the 3rd try, maybe the 10th, maybe the 50th. Unpredictable. And those rats? They lost it. Obsessively mashing the lever thousands of times, collapsing in exhaustion. They weren't chasing the food anymore, they were enslaved by the maybe next time. Sound familiar? That's your brain on breadcrumbing. This person is your lever. Their sporadic texts are the pellets. The inconsistency cranks your mind into overdrive. You're not hooked on them, you're hooked on the unpredictability. It brews a chemical rush more potent than genuine affection. When they ghost or go cold, cortisol floods your system, you're anxious, gut-wrenched, nauseous. That's the stress hammer dropping. Then, out of nowhere, a breadcrumb lands a ping, a message, and dopamine rushes in, easing the agony. The high feels euphoric because the preceding low was hellish. This is a trauma bond. You link the pain causer with the pain reliever. Those peaks convince you it's love, but they're only sky high because the valleys are rock bottom. Here's the kicker. You might picture them as a villain in a lair, scheming your emotional downfall. Annoyingly, it's often not that dramatic. Most breadcrumbers slot into 3 distinct profiles, and pinpointing yours is key to shattering the illusion. First up, the conflict avoider. Not a monster heck, they think they're the good guy. They've lost spark, realized it's not a fit, but confrontation? Terrifying. They can't muster. This isn't working. So they limp along, tossing polite replies, a crumb every few days to dodge the ghoster label. I pulled this in my early 20s, convinced I was softening the blow. But it's the sneakiest cruelty, fanning false hope in a doomed setup. They're shielding their ego at the cost of your peace. But Type 2 ramps up the intent, the bench warmer. You're not the star, you're the reserve. They're juggling a few favorites, but you're the safety net if those flop. They crave the ego hit of your availability, knowing a lonely Tuesday could summon you with one text. You're benched, geared up, eyes on the field, but the coach won't sub you in unless their MVP tweaks an ankle. You're not prime time, you're loneliness insurance. Then comes the shadow side, the narcissistic supplier. These folks know the drill and love it. They sniff out your anxiety, feel you slipping, and lob a crumb to yank you back. No real relationship wanted, they just hoard your attention, blocking your escape. Your eager response? It's narcissistic supply, feeding their God complex. You affirm they're so irresistible, they can dish out trash and you'll lap it up. It's pure power play, and you're on the losing end. But intel on them only goes so far. Let's turn the lens on you. Breadcrumbers need willing participants. Why do you play along? Enter the sunk cost fallacy from economics, pouring more into a sinking ship because you've already invested a ton. 3 months in, I can't bail now. We clicked so hard at first, I just need to recapture that. You're pursuing a mirage, grieving a fantasy bond that was never real. You love their potential, not their present self. Deeper still lurks the scarcity mindset. You view real connection as a rarity, convinced this is your peak option. Low self-worth turns you into a famished survivor. A tossed crumb feels like a banquet. You devour it gratefully. But if you knew your worth, if you were nourished inside, you'd eye that floor scrap and keep walking. You'd demand a proper feast, at a real table, with someone thrilled to serve it. The breadcrumber isn't the villain, it's your tolerance for famine. So, how to flip the script? Force them to commit or cut the crumbs? Brace yourself, you won't like this. You don't. Breadcrumbers don't transform. You just opt out of their charade. Winning against a rigged slot? Exit the casino. That realization flips everything. You're not mourning a loss, you're ditching a bad deal. Your strongest move? Do nothing. No replies, no closure pleas, no cryptic posts for their eyes. Just silence. It's not weakness. It's a bold no to their game. When crumbs go unanswered, expect 1. A panic-fueled love bomb to reclaim control. Or 2. They fade away. And that fade? That's your closure. The truth staring back. Ask yourself, if your best friend endured this, what advice would you give? Hang by the phone? Decode that curt text? Hell no. You'd demand self-respect. If they wanted you, they'd show it. Mixed signals scream clarity. Hesitation is rejection. You deserve the full loaf, the satisfaction of being truly fed. Drop the phone, block if needed. Seek out someone eager to join you at the table because the right match never leaves you questioning your worth. But watch out. Ditching crumbs makes you prime for something deadlier, love bombing, a trap that shatters more hearts than this ever did. In my next video, I'll spotlight the chilling red flags of love bombing that most confuse for soulmate vibes. Don't get caught off guard. Subscribe now to stay one step ahead.